Truckers' Voices. Tell me what got you in the driver's seat. Tell me what your favorite kind of truck to drive is. What are some of the stories that make your life? And where'd you come from? Did your daddy drive? Did your grandpa too? Was it in your blood? Was it something you chose? Tell me what your favorite kind of road to drive is. And what truck you're in. Truckers' Voices. Tell me all the stories that you had. Tell me what your life is like in the cab, and how you started out in this business.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome to Truckers' Voices podcast, where we amplify the stories, experience, and the people who keep America moving. Tonight, I'm excited to welcome our guest, Mike Middleton. Mike is a longtime professional, a driver, and a well-known face in the trucking community. He's deeply involved in the industry, passionate about preserving truck history, and about, he's a proud owner of a show truck that represents that pride. His professionalism and his heritage to trucking. Even though he keeps it polished for the shows rather than the road, Mike is also connected with the National Truck Society, where he helps celebrate classic trucks, industry culture, and the people behind the wheel. Tonight, we're going to talk about his journey, his love for trucking, and his perspective on where the industry has been and where it is headed to.
Join us for Truckers' Voices, where we bring you the stories, experiences, and voices of the people who keep America moving. Catch the show every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Reese Across America Radio. Find Reese Across America Radio on iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Just search the word Reese. Listen anytime at www.reaseacrossamerica.org/radio. You can also find us on truckersvoices.com.
All right. Thank you there, Steve-O. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you there, Mike, and welcome to Truckers' Voices.
Thank you, Steve, Tim. I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time.
I got you. Well, man, I know we got a jam-packed show tonight. We got a listening audience tonight. And first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or whether you're on the replay. And those of you that's listening over on Reese Radio, we sure do appreciate y'all listening in. Hey, I do want to say that opinions expressed on Truckers' Voices are those of the host and the guest only, and do not reflect those of any employer or affiliate organization. This is for informational and entertainment purposes only.
10-4.
What do you think about that, Steve?
I think that sounds good. Come on back.
You got some fire in your wire there, so you hearing it in your talk back there, aren't you?
That's right, baby. Got that fire in that wire. Proud worldwide.
Well, Mr. Mike Middleton, like I said again, welcome to Truckers' Voices. Thank you for carving out time for us and our show. This trucking podcast is all about.
Oh, what Tim was going to, this trucking podcast is all about the trucker. Tell your story, where you been, where you from, how'd you get started, the whole 9 yards. We got Tim back with us. Go ahead, Tim, take it over.
All right. So, hey, there you go. Some of those technical problems that we have sometimes. But, hey, Mike, just introduce yourself and we'll just jump right on into it, okay?
Yeah. So my name is Mike Middleton. I'm a professional truck driver with Old Dominion Freight Line in Memphis, Tennessee. I have been in the industry. This is my 29th year. I have 3.3 million miles safe driving. I'm a Tennessee Road Team captain, America's Road Team captain, a life member with the American Truck Historical Society, and most recently named RVP for the American Truck Historical Society for West Tennessee. And that's what I'm excited to talk to you about tonight.
Absolutely, and we're definitely going to get on into that throughout the show there. But first of all, Mike, the premise of our show is stories about how people got into trucking, and that's going to be my first question right out the gate there. So, Mike, for those who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about your background in trucking and how you got started?
Sure. I would say that with trucking, it started with my family. My dad was the first one to go into the trucking industry. He was working as a diesel mechanic at the Mack truck dealership here in Memphis, and he was, doing all kinds of repairs, but then also sometimes would do an overhaul, and maybe that overhaul is going to need to be broke in. The engine would have to be broke in after it was overhauled, and he would bring the truck home. And of course, I had a tree house, but I loved climbing in those old cab overs that he was bringing home, and so I would get in the truck and flip switches and blow the horn and climb in and out of the bunk and climb up down the side of the truck like a ladder. And I just really was fascinated with trucks. And so later on, he decided that he really liked driving them more than he did working on them. So he began being an over the road driver. And so when we could, when school was out for summer, my mom and dad and my brother and I, we'd all pack in either an International Transstar 2 or a F model Mack cab over, and we'd go and just stay gone for a while. So I just absolutely loved the lifestyle. I loved everything about it. I loved the way they smelled. I liked all the lights. And so it was just very, very exciting to me. And then when, he was gone and I had to be home, I was the kid that would run down the hall into the living room with a piece of paper in each hand behind my back because I was pretending that they were my mud flaps. So I was, I just loved it. So, you know, my dad drove for 42 years. He was a 5 million mile safe driver himself, and he retired in 2019. My grandfather actually was in the military. He was in the Army, served during World War II. When he got out of the military, he went to work for the city of Memphis City Shop. He first started working on garbage trucks and transitioned into police cars and was a auto mechanic for the city shop police cars. And he put his time in there. He retired for the second time from the city of Memphis in 1985, and that's when he began driving. And so he was driving in 85 until 2000, and he was delivering pharmaceuticals and medical equipment to hospitals. So that was kind of his route, and he enjoyed seeing the customers. So I guess technically that would make me a third generation driver. And so on my mom's side of the family, they had a moving company, and so at 15 years old on the weekends, I would go to the shop where the moving company was at, and I was checking oil, checking water, check tires, lights, fire extinguishers, all the things that you would look for during a pre-trip inspection. And I did that for 3 years, and I worked there more like full time during the summers. But by the time I graduated high school, they were letting me do full PMs on their equipment, and it was at that time that I really had an appreciation for what a good pre-trip inspection was and how that made his drivers safer on the road. And so then by the time I was old enough to drive, I went to work running intrastate. I was hauling office supplies from Memphis to Nashville, and I would make my deliveries in Nashville, and I would go back to the supplier, pick up the office supplies that would be delivered in Memphis for the next day, bring that back, unload it into the warehouse, and they would distribute it from the conveyor system. And I did that. I enjoyed it. But once I was old enough to get a CDL and run coast to coast, that's what I did. And I went to MS Carriers, which at the time, they were one of the biggest in Memphis. And so, their trucks were everywhere, and they were able to put me through their school. And so I got to go coast to coast and just, was living the dream. And so I enjoyed it. And I knew I was looking at LTL carriers at that time, but a lot of times they wouldn't hire you until you had a couple years experience. But I had to put my time in somewhere. So I was grateful for the opportunity that MS Carriers gave me. And I was able to transition into Wilson Trucking Corporation, which was a smaller family-owned LTL carrier based in Fisherville, Virginia. And I worked for them for 14 years and 9 months, and really loved Wilson Trucking. And they were the ones that introduced me to the TDCs in 2005. And so a little story, about that was, and I'm going to name drop somebody here, somebody that y'all may recognize, but Rylan Hogan, he's 2005, 2006 NTDC grand champion. And
Hmm.
so he was in, he was from Virginia, but he was in Nashville, and they put a course together in Nashville. And I went up there to try out. And so I'd never been across the TDC course at all. And I had him walking beside me on the driver's side door, and with the window down, and I had passenger side window was down, and I stopped on the scale deck, and I saw a set of hands come over the door and unlock the door, and the door opened up, and it's Mr. Wilson, president and CEO himself. He climbs up in the passenger seat with me, and he's like, "All right, Mike, this is what you need to look for." And I was really impressed, how much, because he was a driver for many years. He competed at the TDC himself, but as he was coming up through the ranks. So I had some really, really amazing mentors, come in and out of my career through the years that I'm very grateful for. But had a, had a good long run with them, and I transitioned to Old Dominion Freight Line in 2014. I saw they were building a new terminal, and several hundred doors, and I knew that there would be a good opportunity for growth there. So that's when I made the transition to them, and picked up right where I left off, continued with TDCs, and uh, Old Dominion's been very good to my family and I for many years now.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's definitely impressive. And speaking about impressive, and you kind of answered my next question, but I'm going to kind of twist the question a little bit on you here and say, if you could sum up in one sentence what inspired you to become a truck driver, what would that be?
Um, I would say, I love trucks. I love all trucks. And so, I love the industry. I love being part of moving America. It's just, it's, it's an amazing industry to be a part of.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to toss the mic over to Steve, and he's going to get a couple of questions in here to you.
Okay. I know the story about this, and I can't wait for you to tell this because I want everybody to know this. You own a truck that you don't drive over the road. What made you decide to have a show truck?
So this particular truck, I talked about my dad, being a over the road driver. He later on in his career, he went to hauling glass more regionally, and they had a full fleet of Fords at the time. One of the last trucks he got brand new when he was working for them was an Aeromax. So I spent a lot of time, looking at that dashboard, riding with him in the truck, and just, my dad had worked at a Ford dealership before the Mack dealership, and actually, a little side note, my grandfather, my father, and my brother all worked for the same Ford dealership in the 50s, 70s, and the 90s, and through the end of 2000. So we were just a Ford family, and so I thought it was really cool that Ford made commercial trucks, big trucks, and they were kind of known for being more vocational trucks, garbage trucks, cement mixers. They weren't that being a over the road highway truck. They did have the LTL 9000, which is an extremely popular truck. The longer hood set forward front axle. That was their over the road truck, but they were looking for something more fuel efficient. So that's when they came up with, they had the Aeromax that came out in '88, but mine is an Aeromax 120, and they increased from a 106 BBC to a 120 BBC, which BBC is from the bumper to the back of cab. So it gave them more opportunity to divide that air up, and it was much more aerodynamic. But with that being said, I was a race fan too. So there was the NASCAR teams, the NHRA teams, tractor pulling, monster truck teams, all your Ford sponsored teams had that style truck at that time. And I fell in love with it. And I saw this particular truck in 1991 at Memphis Motorsports Park. The truck was brand new, saw it, fell in love with it. Told my dad I wanted to buy it. He was like, "You're 14 years old. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit." So but I loved the truck, and I was really proud of Ford for really stepping up their game, trying to get into the aerodynamic market, and so I was just thought it was really, really cool. And so fast forward, I've seen the truck, and then they had some other trucks because they were a Ford sponsored team that came in through the years, but um, even after I began my professional driving career, I still saw the truck. I was talking to the drivers because the monster truck driver is also the hauler driver with your monster truck. Inside that motorsports industry, they have to do double duty. They haul the monster truck as well. So I started trying to, make friends with the monster truck drivers. I saw my truck. I saw it in Arlington, Texas, at a display. Saw the same truck again a couple years later in Reno, Nevada. I stopped and talked to the driver. Hey man, how's it going? I like that truck. So it's kind of a deal where everybody's lining up wanting to see Bigfoot monster truck, and they're standing in line wanting to get a picture and autograph with the driver, and I'm standing over by myself and I'm just looking at the Aeromax. So my dad's like, I think you're more fascinated with the hauler than you are the actual monster truck. I said, I love both of them. You can't have one without the other. So I love them both. And so, just I try to stay in contact, try to build those relationships. I'm a building relationships kind of person. So, I love people. And so, I would call the shop a couple times and say, hey, y'all thinking about selling any of your Aeromax trucks? Said, no, Mike, we're still using them right now, but we'll let you know. And so, fast forward, they ended up, Freightliner in the late 90s. Freightliner bought Ford out. And so it became really important to me that I was able to acquire one of those trucks, and because I knew they weren't going to be around. Parts were getting difficult to find and trying to run those on the road. And so if the truck were to have an issue roadside, it may sit at the dealer for 2 or 3 weeks trying to find parts. So they decided to update their fleet. And so the trucks weren't publicly put up for sale, but they had somebody that worked in the shop at Bigfoot, had a family farm. They put the trucks on the farm, and I didn't know it. But then I had one of my other, because the trucking community, we're a tight knit family. So somebody let me know where the truck was at and what it was doing, and it was on the farm. And I was kind of like, man, I hate to hear that, because sometimes trucks get beat up on the farm. And I said, that truck's got a lot of history in it, from Ford history and motorsports history. And I said, I sure would like to get that truck. So they tried it for a while, and they decided that for what they were doing, the truck was far too heavy duty. They didn't need that much truck and trailer for doing what they needed on the farm. They could do it with a dually and a gooseneck, and they put the trucks up for sale. Well, I got probably 75 to 100 tags in it as soon as it went up. And so I went there and went to see the truck and tried to put a deal together. We were just too far apart on the money, not even close. And so I left. I was disappointed, but I was okay with it, because that was my goal. I tried. I couldn't buy it. So, I gave it my best shot. But then 3 months later, it pops back up. It's for sale, and it's a much more reasonable price. I call them back, and they're like, is your first offer from 3 months ago still good? And I said, it is. They said, come get it. And I said, I'll be up here in the morning. So I went and got it and brought it home. And, I'll tell you about my wife. My wife and I, we met when we were 10 years old in the 4th grade. And so she knows how much I like Bigfoot, how important that is to me. She knows the trucking industry. And so I mentioned to her that it was going to be possibly available. And she's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it, but I know it's important to you. So, if you can get it, get it. And so she let me bring it home, and we started working on it. And we went through all the mechanicals first and trying to get it, the services caught back up, new brakes, brake chambers, airlines, shocks, just going through it front to back and make sure everything was good to go. And then we sent it off to get it painted at Mike Lee Paint and Body in Ooltewah, Tennessee. And it came back, and now we're going to shows with it. And when they go with me, even a year or two ago, we took it to Race Across America at the West Tennessee Veterans Cemetery. What I realized, there was a lot of truck drivers there, and I was trying to grow ATHS. I took my truck just to create conversation, but it drew a crowd. When we stop to get fuel in it, it draws a crowd. We're going down the interstate, CV's blowing up. People, I get 2 reactions. Either the old timers go, man, I hadn't seen one of those in years, or the newer generation drivers go, what is that? They have no idea. Ford made big trucks. Are you serious? I said, I'm serious. So we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a beautiful truck. It's a beautiful truck. I worked the Madison ATHS show, and Mike was very kind. Took us a couple captains over, let us crawl around it and underneath it, and showed us this and showed us that, and showed us the autographs that he got from Bob Chandler. and everything that own Bigfoot. And just a quick insight, and then we'll move on. When I was a teenager, I worked at a local parts store. They only had 5 in the St. Louis region, and we was south of St. Louis, and I would run to Midwest 4-wheel drive 3-4 times a week and pick up parts. So I got to see that truck, the original Bigfoot, which made its debut in Take This Job and Shove It, which was filmed about 50 miles south of my house down in Lesterville. So, I mean, when you took me around that truck and I got to hear the history of it, you started bringing back teenage memories of me seeing those trucks and everything. And thank you. That was awesome. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you ever get a chance to see Mike's truck, it's awesome. But
Thank you. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed showing you around too as well. It was a treat for me.
I appreciate it. So, how'd you get involved with the truck show scene?
So with the American Truck Historical Society, for me, it wasn't. I had friends that were involved, so I knew a little bit about it. But for me, it was first go get the truck. I went and got the truck that I wanted. That was my, that was my goal. That was my dream. I was chasing that dream. I got the truck, so that was first. So I get the truck, get it home, and I immediately ran into problems. I go to the county clerk's office. I'm trying to get get it registered, and they're trying to sell me a base plate, a very expensive commercial base plate that I do not need, and I could not convince them of that. I went round and round with them for several weeks, and I couldn't get it registered, and I was like, well, this is a problem. So it was at that time I reached out to the American Truck Historical Society, and this is something very common for them, and they walked me through the process, and they sent me a declaration of hobby letter. I filled it out, took it, got it notarized, went to the county clerk's office, boom, 10 minutes, walked out with an antique truck plate, historic plate, a permanent plate that I don't have to renew every year. So instant. I mean, they just, and I was like, I love ATHS. I want everybody to know that this is available because I didn't know that was an option. So fast forward, same problem, trying to get insurance. Every insurance company I talked to tried to sell me a commercial truck insurance policy. I'm like, it's not what I'm doing here. They're like, yeah, but you might. And I was like, that's not what we're doing here. So reached back out to the American Truck Historical Society, and they're like, we partner with Haggerty Collector Car Insurance. They have a specific policy for antique commercial vehicles. So they custom built me a policy, and within 3 or 4 hours, I had the insurance that I needed. So this was huge because this is a hobby. I do not need my hobby to get me in trouble at work. You know what I mean? So that was really important. So it was really important that we get that taken care of.
I just flashed a picture up there on the screen of your truck. It's looks like it's a cartoon look truck, but it might be AI. But anyway,
it is.
Yep. But that's
that
it.
was actually Scott Post sent that to me. He did that and sent that to me.
Yeah. So I just flashed that up there, and for those of you that listen and can't see it, it's a beautiful truck. But we do appreciate good looking trucks there, also, Mike. So go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got an off the wall question there. Because you're talking about historical plates and downgraded insurance and stuff, so not cargo insurance, everything. I didn't notice anywhere where it says not for hire, recreational use or anything. Is that required or option?
So it does say not for hire on it, but I did it very, very uniquely.
Right.
If you can, Tim, I don't know if you can find a picture, but I actually used the Bigfoot font of the blue, white, and gold, and it looks like it says Bigfoot, but it says not for hire. So
Okay.
it's not required. If you're not engaging in interstate commerce, you are not required to have that, but it's going to invoke some curiosity, and you may get a roadside traffic stop, and verbiage is key. You're going to need to be able to prove that they need to prove that you're engaging in interstate commerce. But if you've got all your documentation, so you don't have to have not for hire. I do have it on there. thankfully, luckily, I've had the truck since 2017. I've never been stopped. I may get stopped tomorrow, but I've never been,
Right.
never been stopped with it. I've tried really hard because I don't want to have any problems with work. That I've got everything squared away, legally squared away, so we don't have those issues.
Yeah, because technically you don't have to buy IFTAs or
Correct.
anything like that, pay any
It's
fuel tax or nothing like
it's
that.
treated just like an RV.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike, so let's go ahead and move on a little bit. So what goes absolutely into preparing for a truck show compared to preparing for everyday work life?
So it's really not that much different. The biggest thing is just going to be cleaning it, but I start with maintenance. Just like I'm gonna throw the hood over, we're gonna check oil, we're gonna check, the antifreeze, we're gonna check the belts, we're gonna, check all the rubber hoses, we're gonna check, it's just same pre-trip inspection you do on your everyday truck. The difference is once I get that done and I'm happy with it, the way everything looks, then we're gonna start scrubbing. And we're gonna, now let me stop right here and say this. There is a huge difference. I know both of y'all have been to Matt's and you've seen the trucks that are outside. Those trucks are competing for trophies. Those trucks will get put on jack stands, take the wheels off. They'll polish the inside of the wheels. They'll polish the frames. They'll polish, if they got brake drums on them. That's not what I'm doing. I have an antique truck, and those trucks those $1 million trucks are competing for trophies. That's not what we do with ATHS. Our trucks are about telling a story and about history. So I do the best I can with the budget that I'm on. I would love to give my truck a full restoration. It's a lot of people said I have restored it. I don't feel comfortable saying that it's a restoration. It's not had a frame off restoration. It's been refurbished. That's the way I like to look at it. I made, everything more, just more presentable is the way I like to look at it. But with that said, still, I do, wash it top to bottom. I wipe the frame rails down. I get in, inside the tires, wiping down the drive shaft, the transmission, the underside of the hood, the underside of everything gets wiped down. It's not that difficult because I don't drive the truck every day. If I was driving it every day, it would be I'd need a team of people.
Yeah.
And my dad's gone with me on a couple of truck show events, and he was great at polishing wheels. But that's the biggest thing is, just it's more about cleanliness and you got to polish the wheels. Even the inside of the glass, you're going to polish that too. And that's one thing. I get a little carried away cleaning trucks sometime. When I was running team, we've been out all week, and we got back to Memphis. Thought we were going home. They're like, "Hey, can y'all turn Dallas one more time?" We're like, "Yeah." So the Great American Truck Show was going on in Dallas that weekend. We were heading back to Dallas, and I'm out there and I'm wiping the windows down on the team truck, wiping, cleaning mirrors, trying to get them spotless. And my partner sitting over looking at his watch, and he's like, "Hey, Mike, I know we're going to Dallas, but we're not really going to the truck show. Come on, dude, get in. We got to go." So we got a schedule to keep. So I get a little, carried away with cleaning the truck or whatever I'm working on, and sometimes I get carried away with it.
Yeah, Mike. And so, your normal job is in the LTL industry and like that. And I imagine that you have to have some kind of budget for maintenance and stuff like that on a truck like this. And, it's your passion. So, I mean, just for a set of tires on this truck, it's got to be quite a bit of money. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
So yes, they're they are expensive. They're just like an RV. The tires are going to be roughly around $500 a piece now. So, I that was something that was important to me. When I got the truck, of course, Bigfoot was sponsored by Firestone, so they had brand new Firestones on it. I wanted to make sure that I kept that as accurately as I could. So I replaced it with what they had put on it, but I want to make sure it was important to me that I had a matched set of tires. I get a little frustrated when I see trucks with mismatched tires on that. That's just not a thing. You certainly wouldn't want to do that and take yourself to a show and then let people, pick at it. So,
Right. You got this brand on the front. You got this
sure,
brand on the front
sure.
drive. You got this brand. What's going on here?
I prefer a little bit more uniformity when it comes to that. So, there is a budget. Of course, the majority of the expense is behind me now, so it's more of just a maintenance thing now. But it's it's a piece of equipment. It's always going to need something. So you just have to be an open mind, and it's, I do limit myself. I will say that I'll limit myself to how many events I do per year. Right now, just mostly because of time, I just do one big event per year.
I'm gonna tell a little secret on you, Mike. When we met up at the Madison Truck Show, I called you on a Sunday, and you called me back. I left you a message. You called me back, and I said, "What are you doing?" And the first thing you said was, "Hang on a minute. I'm gonna roll the window up, but I'm not gonna be on the phone long because it was like 95 degrees. I'm going through St. Louis, and my air conditioner don't work. So I got to work on the air conditioner when I get to the truck show." So, those are things with a show truck, it sets, and then you think everything's working. You take off down the road and something doesn't work. So, uh, what has been your favorite truck show experience so far, other than working with me?
I love, I love working with both of you guys. I tell you, the one that probably hit me the most, that I was just blown away, like a wow moment, was when I got invited to Bigfoot's open house in Pacific, Missouri. So I brought the truck back up there to them, and there was a lot of the retired monster truck drivers that were there, and they genuinely seemed, impressed with it. And I got Bob Chandler to get up in the truck, and he autographed the dash for me. That was huge. That was something that was a bucket list thing for me. I wanted his autograph on the truck. It was his truck for a long time, and I kind of wanted his approval, as well, because I had modernized a couple of things, and he gave me a pat on the back after I autographed the dash. He's like, "Mike, I think that's the biggest souvenir we've ever had." So I brought that back, but then it led to Jim Kramer, which was another driver from the 80s. He drove my particular truck. He drove that one quite a bit through the years. He autographed the sleeper door for me, and then ended up getting autographs from everybody that was there on the sun visors. But something else that you could have told 14-year-old Mike, and he'd been like, "There's no way that you're making this up." But had Bob Chandler get in the truck, got his approval. But then there's other retired monster truck drivers that say they weren't Bigfoot drivers, but they were still there at the open house, and I have become kind of friends with them. These guys were my heroes growing up, and now they're retired. And I had 3 of them. Just my birthday was back in December, and 3 of them reached out to me through Facebook just to wish me happy birthday. I'm like, what world is this? These are my heroes wishing me happy birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Mike, let's before we move on to the next question there, I just want to say we appreciate our sponsor, Mr. Patrick Lauro with Fulton County Old Country Music. We want to give a shout out to him. Thanks for your support there, Mr. Patrick. We sure do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Keep
Yes, sir.
up the good work.
Yep. So Mike, what role do truck shows play in bringing the community together?
So
The trucking community.
The trucking community, I think the truck shows are very important. I mean, everybody likes the shiny trucks, but with that said, the ATHS, we're a lot about, look, just bring what you have. I want to try to put that out there as far as a misconception with the ATHS. A lot of people think you can't join or become a member if you don't have a truck, and that's just simply not true. All you have to have is passion for trucks, antique trucks, for trucking history. It's a community. And so there's always going to be somebody there in the community that has already been through a restoration, or if you're looking for a part, they will help you find it. They know somebody's got one. They know where one's at in a junkyard. Let's make some calls. Or we got some very talented people out there that are fabricators, and they can make parts now for these antique trucks that are, the parts don't exist anymore. So I love, like I said, I'm a people person. So I'm all about building relationships and building communities, and that's why I'm trying to get the Mid-South chapter up and running. And because we don't have a chapter here in the Mid-South, so I'm looking for people within a 100-mile air mile radius of Memphis. Reach out to me, and I'm certainly need 3 more officers for the Mid-South chapter. I need a president, a vice president, and a treasurer. So I have a secretary that's stepped up. He's a current member and great guy, and really enjoyed talking to him. But it's important to me that we grow the ATHS community right here in the Mid-South.
Yeah. So what part of the National Truck Society, what is this all about? Kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown on what it's all about.
So, with the American Truck Historical Society, they were founded in 1971 in Michigan. And in the mid to late 70s, it moved to Birmingham and it stayed there for, close to 25 years. And then the board members decided that we really needed to be more centrally located in the United States for better access for all of our members. So they moved the headquarters in 2001 to Kansas City, Missouri. And so it's right by the airport. It's very convenient. We have a welcome center there. And, we tell everybody we come for the trucks, but we stay for the people. And so, the welcome center there, we have a library there that is just unbelievable. There are just, thousands of repair manuals, thousands of factory documents and promotional artifacts that are there inside the library. We're currently trying to digitize the library. That is quite a process in itself, so that all of that can be online. We've got a lot of exciting things going on. Something else I'm really proud of that, yes, sir.
I just want to stop you right there. I want to help you with that. I cannot remember the gentleman that's running that operation. His name. I think he does a lot of the planning and events and stuff. I can't
Okay.
remember. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, I was on an event. I carried the Interstate 1 up, dropped it in Kansas City, took an Uber to the airport. Halfway there, a fellow captain told me about ATHS's headquarters being there. And the Uber driver, she overheard our conversation and she said, not to butt in, but I could drop you off there. And I said, really? She said, just go into your Uber app, change the location. I'll drop you off there. So she dropped me off there, grabbed my suitcase, I walked in, met this nice lady. I'm bad with names. At the desk,
Courtney?
Courtney,
Okay.
Courtney.
Courtney
And
Caesar.
Courtney introduced me to this gentleman. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Brad Patterson, possibly?
I think it was Brad.
Brad, yes.
He showed me around, and I'm telling you right now, there is so much stuff in this building. And he actually took me back into the warehouse part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff they hadn't gone through yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And people's got stuff there donated, stuff on display. I mean, folks, if you ever get a chance to go to it. And I think once or twice a year, they have a little get together up there, promotional deal. America's Road Team takes their truck up there, puts it on display, Interstate 1.
Mm-hmm.
But this was so neat, and I signed up for it, and I don't have an historical truck. Okay, so I become a member, and then when I went back to Madison, my membership was out. Courtney re-upped me on the membership, so I am a member. I get the weekly thing online and all that stuff. I don't get the book or nothing anymore. I do everything online. But I just want to add to that for you, Mike. I've been there, experienced it. Oh my gosh, you could spend 2 days in there looking at everything.
Absolutely. I think the event you're talking about would be the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and that's every October, and that's when Interstate
Yes.
1 comes up there. And so the Hall of Fame is something that we realized there's not a trucking Hall of Fame. So the American Truck Historical Society made one, and that is the American Truck and Industry Leader Hall of Fame. And it's something that there's a committee for it, and they vote every year on who's going to be inducted. And so just to give you an idea of some of the people that's just recently been inducted would be Frederick McKinley Jones. Now, if you're not familiar with him, he is the founder of Thermo King. So where would the trucking industry be without refrigerated trailers right now? That was a total game changer for us.
Yeah.
The Great West Casualty Company, they were inducted, the Morton family, Joseph A. and Joseph W. Morton, they were inducted last year. They saw a need to write commercial insurance truck policies. So they have been a game changer for our industry. And so they were inducted last year. Ted Rogers went in 2023. He was the very first president of the American Trucking Associations.
Right.
So, we're all certainly grateful for his contributions to the industry. And then in 2022, Earl and Lillian Congdon were inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't there for that, but, they've certainly, done really well for themselves. But what was really interesting to me about Old Dominion was that Earl Sr. passed away in the 1950s when he was 57 years old, passed away unexpectedly, and his wife Lillian, they went from the office being the kitchen table and the yard being their front yard to growing it to where they have now. But when he passed away, she took over. And so in the 1950s, it was a tough time for trucking in general. But to have a female-led trucking company that she grew into where we're at now, just very, very impressive. So they went in as a couple in 2022. So that's some of the members that are in our Hall of Fame. And that personally, that's, with the Hall of Fame, we always say that we're preserving trucks, we're preserving truck history. And the most important part to me personally is that we're honoring our industry pioneers. And
Right.
that's the part that I like, especially with the Hall of Fame, is that we honor the pioneers that built this industry for us. So it's a very humbling experience to get to go through there and see those stories, because they all have boards that are dedicated to them and different exhibits that are dedicated, and we're actively growing the Hall of Fame every single year.
And like I said, you walk through the room and it looks like a library, Tim.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you can go through, and I found books on Risk International that I used to work for out of Kansas City. And I mean, it's American Freightways, Arkansas Freightways. It's unbelievable. So how'd you get involved with the National Truck Society?
So it was just, for me, a lot of my friends were already involved, and they were people that I considered to be industry leaders. And I was certainly trying to, be more involved. I wanted to learn from them because obviously they had been very successful. And I just saw a need for, someone of my age to get in, because I'm very grateful for the generation that came before me with not just the industry, but with the American Truck Historical Society. And now it's kind of, I'm at an age where I feel like I can have an impact there and help them grow that. And I want to do the same thing for the generation that comes after me, that the ones did before me. I want to make sure that, when I'm no longer around, that the ATHS is still thriving.
Yeah. You know what, Mike? I had a thought a while ago, and I was going to say this. I wish I had known that your passion for this before I first met you in DC. When I was doing the media there, I wish I had known this information, because I would have used it against you, man. I would have took you down that road, man.
Well, I tell you what, that day with you was a very eye-opening experience for me, because I felt I was ready to go home and pack my bags after the interview with you. I was like, well, I just blew it, so I'm out of here.
Oh man. Well, in your opinion, how important is it for drivers and enthusiasts to support the trucking associations?
It's critical, because it's us, it's for us, it's about us. So we want to continue that, that it continues. So we've got to get involved and do our part to make a difference.
Yeah. Steve just went out there for a minute. I don't know what happened to him there, but he'll put himself back in there. The technical difficulties happen sometime. But how do truck shows help change the image and perception of the trucking industry?
So there are a lot of very passionate people at these truck shows, and these are people that truly care about the industry. And so they want to make sure that the industry always has a good image and they have a good perception from the outside, because sometimes people come to these truck shows and they don't really know about trucks, but they're curious. They're kind of seeing what all the fuss is about. So, I know I've done that with the show in Madison. Had somebody that came in, and I didn't really have a job at that specific moment, but they came in and they're like, I heard there was a Dodge Bighorn here. And I was like, you know what? Matter of fact, it is. It's yellow. I know where it's at. Come on, I'll walk you back there. So I introduced them to the owner, and I just walked away. I let them. The owner was so excited to get to talk to that person about their truck. So anything that we can do to spread some positivity about the industry, I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Go ahead, Steve. I'll pass the mic to you, brother.
Okay, I'm just going to say, after being at the truck show in Madison and being right there at the main driveway as they all pass, I mean, you've got, excuse me, you've got, like Mike said, the guys that jack the trucks up and they take care of them, but then you got the ones that come right out of the farm field, the guy running through the truck wash, and they're cleaning on them while they're sitting in the parking lot, and I mean, it's just, it's beautiful. Now, is there an age limit to consider it a historical truck?
So yes, once it's 25 years old, that's technically, what we look at. Once it becomes 25 years old, then it is technically considered an antique at that time. So what's great about that is we continue every year to add a new generation of trucks that can be considered antiques, so that we continue to grow. That's what we want, because there may be somebody that's, say, they're new to the industry, they're 25, 30 years old, and they don't know about a 1934 auto car. But what's important to them is a 2006 Freightliner Columbia. And so we welcome them. If it's an antique, then which that would right now that would just be a 20-year. Let's say a 2001 model Freightliner or a 2001 model Peterbilt. That would be considered an antique. So we want to welcome them. Everyone's welcome. Even we've had some people, like you mentioned, that drove them there, go through the Blue Beacon, they bring them, start polishing them there when they get to the show. That's the majority of the trucks that get there. But there's also some of them are barn finds. They pull them straight out of the barn, put them on a low boy, and bring them straight to the show. So we welcome that too. And those trucks draw a crowd because everybody wants to see. They like looking at potential. So, they want to see, what are your plans for the truck? Are you going to put it back completely stock? Are you going to do some kind of, restoration with it? Or, what are the plans? So, whatever you got, bring it.
And that's the cool part, because the owner or owners, whether it's brothers or cousins or husband and wives, are sitting there in a lawn chair with an umbrella over them in the hot sun. And you're like, okay, tell me about this. Why'd you buy this? What's your passion? And there again, I need to bring out truckers' voices. Come on the show, tell us about it.
Yeah.
But what do you think the general public often misunderstands about truck drivers and the trucking culture?
So I think one thing that the general public just really takes for granted is the level of skill and the level of training that professional truck drivers have. I mean, we're making hundreds of decisions every mile. And so we may be hauling hazardous materials. We may be right at 80,000 pounds. And our primary concern is to make sure that ourselves, as well as everyone around us, gets home safely.
So Mike, what advice would you give to drivers or owners who wants to get involved in, the trucking show world?
Come on out. Come find me. I can't be at all the shows, but I can promise you, if you come out, you see something that you like, that owner, it will make his day for him to take you around the truck and just give you all the details about it. That's a big reason that we go. We're very, very welcoming. We're warm and engaging. We want as many people to take advantage of the ATHS as possible. So just come out and see us. Let me bring this up. We have the Wheels of Time magazine. This is the newest issue here. It's going to have the chapters. All the chapters are listed in there with contact information. So if you're looking for something local in your area, you can get in there. You'll find the email, phone numbers. Reach out to those people. Reach out to those RVPs, and they will help find you a chapter that's close to you if you want to go to a local show. There's also in here is going to be the information about whatever city we're going to be in this year. June 2nd through the 6th, we're going to be in Springfield, Missouri at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, and that's in here. That's in Wheels of Time, and it gives you all the details. You get to walk around. Thank you, Tim. That's awesome. You get to walk around. We're going to have an ice cream social, so you can get you some ice cream. We're going to have a light show at night. They're going to turn on all the lights. You can smell the diesel. It's like walking back in time. It makes you feel like you're, on the back row, the party row at the truck stop back in the 70s. So it's a lot of fun. So I can see like that
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good time, have your ice cream and make some new friends. And then when you get done at the show, then we also have, so Wheels of Time, we do 6 issues per year. That's an award-winning publication. We do 1 issue of Showtime. Showtime simply just covers the national convention. Every truck, we had almost 1,000 trucks on property last year. Every single truck is in this magazine, so it's covered in the issue
Hold that
of
up again.
Showtime.
Hold that up again, Mike.
Okay.
I got you on a bigger screen now.
All right, perfect. Let me see. There we go.
There you go. All
So
right.
yeah, the Showtime magazine that's all it does. It covers the ATHS National Convention from the previous year, and
Yeah.
so it's it's so much fun. I just really wasn't in a place where I could do it any sooner. I'm certainly grateful to be a part of it now. Everybody there has been I've made so many new friends through the ATHS, and they're lifelong friends. And just like TDC family, I have my ATHS family. And we're all truck drivers, so it's really a blessing. I've had such a blessed career. I really have.
I'm glad you said that because that brings up my next question. What
All right.
challenge what challenges have you faced balancing trucking, personal life, and involvement in the shows and the organization?
So, um, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's anything, there's going to be challenges in life, but I'll tell you, everybody, get your family involved. My wife and son, they go with me. They go with me to the antique truck shows. They've been to, I mean, they can't make all of them, but they've been to quite a few. I took them all the way to Lincoln, North Carolina back in 2016. And that's where I met the guy that painted my truck. So all about building those relationships. But, I've been very fortunate. If it's like the state road team event, I took my family, I took my son to a lot of those events. With their convention, I took my family. With the TDC, my family goes with me. ATHS, family goes with me. So for me, really, there's not been any kind of struggle or not been any kind of work-life balance. I just bring them with me.
Yeah, yeah. So what keeps you passionate about the trucking, even, when the industry gets tough? What keeps you passionate about it?
Oh, well, listen, every industry has ups and downs. Trucking industry is no different. So, it's the people. Because I'm not in this by myself. Other people are, if when the industry's at a tough time, other people are having tough times too. So that's when we got to rally together.
Yeah, yeah.
How has the trucking community impacted your life outside of the truck?
Well, I get to do Truckers Voices TV. That's
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
yeah. So, I've had so many wonderful opportunities from between the road team, TDC, ATHS, of getting to, go to events. And like I said earlier, if you told 14-year-old Mike that this was possible, he wouldn't believe you. So I'm very grateful for everything that the trucking industry has brought me, because the trucking industry has been very good to my family and I for multiple generations.
Yeah. And, Mike, what's one thing that you've learned through trucking that applies to your everyday life?
Um, well, you got to be safe. If you want, that's safety is number one. It doesn't matter if you're in your personal vehicle, if I'm in my antique truck, or if I'm at work. You got to be safe. That is the most important thing. So it's all about safety.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Where do you see truck shows and trucking culture headed in the next few years?
Well, I hope they're growing. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help them grow. And Steve, I know I've heard you mention several times about the round table.
Yeah.
They took the round table out, and the sense of community. Well, I found the round table. I know where it's at. You were there in Madison, Wisconsin. It's at the ATHS National Convention, Springfield, Missouri, June 2nd through the 6th. That's where the round table's at.
Yes, it is. I'm telling you, I was there working, but you get a little break and you get to go out and you get to see things and talk to people and to hear the love, the passion, the sweat equity that goes into these things that these people put in them is just awesome. And they're from the young ones all the way to the elderly that's hasn't drove a truck in 30 years, but that's their toy. And I just got to say this because I bought a golf cart last year. The golf carts, you ought to see it. There's golf carts, they put air horns on them, cab
Oh,
lights on them, chrome on them. I mean, it is, and it matches their truck. So, I
absolutely.
mean, I just got to say, if y'all ever get a chance to go to ATHS event, go.
Mike, we just got time for just a few more questions, so we're going to start entering into our post-trip part of the show. So we need to post-trip the show pretty good there, but got a
Yes, sir.
couple more questions we want to ask you before we actually go off the air here. If someone's never been to a truck show, how would you describe that experience to them?
So if they've never been to a truck show, it's it's unlike anything else that they've ever been. I mean, it'll be similar to like a car show. It's just bigger. And I would certainly try to find somebody that you have something in common with. Or what I tell people the most is, because everybody's got a favorite of some kind or something that they're looking for. If you go to the truck show and you're truly interested in getting involved, go talk to a person that's got a vehicle of something that anything that piques your interest. Go check it out. It's a great time. It's a family fun, friendly event. There's going to be vendors there. There's food. There's ice cream. It's what I do on my vacation. I mean, that's one of the things that I do. I spend my vacation up there. So it's a family friendly event. It's something I look forward to every year.
Gotcha.
All right. If we was to interview your show truck and it could talk to us, what would it say about you? Would it brag you up or would it complain about you?
I tell you what, I feel like he would just walk up and give me a big old hug and thank him for getting him off the farm. So it was a deal where he was a H12. That's what it was, hauler number 12. It was a support vehicle for Bigfoot for many, many years. Now, when we go to the truck show, he's the star of the show. It's not about the monster truck anymore. It's about the job that it's done for 30 years. So I think he would brag on me.
So you're talking about he bragging on you. What would his name be?
Well, I didn't name it. Bigfoot, they numbered all their haulers. They used the letter H, and this was truck number 12, so it's H12.
Okay.
Of course, and I think they're up to like number 27 now. So they didn't reuse any of the numbers, but mine for its entire life when it was at Bigfoot, it was H12.
Gotcha. Well, folks, that's going to kind of start wrapping us up here. Mike, we always like to end with a word of encouragement and advice. So I'm going to give you that opportunity, and then I'll pass it on to Steve before we actually, have our closing moments there. But go ahead, Mike, and talk to the people, talk to the listeners.
So for, a word of safety, I just say as professional drivers, every lane change, every gear change, every mile, we make safety our top priority. And for a word of encouragement, something I've been trying to teach my son is no one is promised tomorrow. So let's make a difference today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's good advice there for sure. Well, we thank you. Steve, go ahead.
Mike, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Enjoyed the stories. Enjoyed everything. And I hope you find everybody you need in your line. Like I always say, people, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Stay true, stay safe, and remember the most important trip is that trip home.
Well, folks, that's tonight's episode of Truckers Voices. A big thank you to our guest, Mike Middleton, for sharing his story and his passion for trucking. You can catch us on Reefs Across America and radio and TuneIn, Odyssey, Spotify, and at truckersvoices.com for sure. Like, follow, and share so you never miss an episode. From all of us here, I'm Tim Taylor, and Steve Brand, he's my co-host there. You know what? Yeah, I want to keep reminding you to keep it safe, keep it moving, and keep your voices heard. Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
All right.
Stay with it.
Trees line the roadside, the sun shines in the grass. Hilly hill behind me, another overpass. Loading out Abilene, headed to the coast. The freedom of the 4-lane is the thing I love the most. 18 wheels take me through rain and sleet and snow. 13 gears will pull me anywhere I want to go. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are counting on my load. Trees line the roadside, the sun shines in the grass. Another hill behind me, another overpass. Loading out avalanche.